Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. As always, we're looking at all three sides of it. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So looking at your perspective, their perspective, and this higher level unbiased perspective in the middle, really looking at what is the purpose of this connection and what is the best way to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As always, we'll be using a different tarot deck for each side of the connection, but I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages, which we'll jump into in just a second. And then I have the advice deck that I'll be using in the extended already shuffled as well. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone. So do take what resonates and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can absolutely be swapped. So if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, or if you're a cross watcher, then vice versa. Do know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, take what helps, leave what doesn't. All right, Capricorn, on your side of this connection, you have shift with the Five of Cups here. Some disappointment, sadness coming from your side here. There has been a shift. According to your perspective, this connection, there has been a shift here. You feel like things have changed in this connection, and that change or the way that things have kind of gone down, it's brought you this Five of Cups energy. And I feel like this Five of Cups energy has been pretty hard for you to work through. I also feel like, I don't know, like, okay, so in this card, I'm really being drawn to like the cracks on the cup right here, the cups that are down here, but then like these two cups are still fine. So what I'm kind of gathering from this card, or like the deeper message into it, is that like, sure, you know, there have been these spilled cups, you know, you have kind of broken three cups, but you still have two cups. Like you still have, I don't know, like trying to look at the bright side is kind of what this is really talking about, because I don't feel like, you know, I mean, it's really easy when things go wrong in connections or with people that we truly care about to think that we're never going to be happy again, or we're never going to find love again, or whatever the case is. And I feel like this is kind of a message of like, don't think that way, because that's never true spiritually, right? Of course it's true if we believe it, but it doesn't have to be true. So I do kind of feel like, yes, there's this disappointment, but there's a glimmer of hope here on this side. Now, this person, they have soulmate with the Three of Pentacles in reverse. So they do view this connection as like a soulmate connection, someone who is incredibly important to them, someone who they feel that they do have a deep personal connection with. But they do see things as having, like, either they fell apart or they're just not quite coming together, like the pieces aren't falling into place. And I feel like the other thing that I'm getting with this Three of Pentacles in reverse is this person struggles a little bit with being a teammate, meaning that, you know, in any healthy connection, not just romantic, but in any healthy connection, it really does take two. And it takes both people being willing to, you know, be understanding and communicative and open to seeing the other person's perspective and doing their own inner work so that, you know, they can kind of show up as their best version of themselves. And I feel like it's not that this person doesn't want to. I feel like they struggle with really, truly being able to be a partner in this connection. Now, it could be because of life circumstances, or it could be because they're not in a good place emotionally. I'm not sure. But I do feel like this person does struggle to be what it is that you're ultimately needing in this connection. Now, in between this connection, you both have shadow with the World card here. This connection triggers both of your guys' shadows, meaning that it's probably like really easy for you two to get like really mad at each other. Like it's like it can go from like 0 to 100. Like that's kind of what I feel like, because of how these two energies are triggering each other. Now there's a cycle in between this connection that's needing to be completed. I don't know what that is yet. I don't want to speak on it until I pull tarot, but I do feel like there's this person, and the way that they trigger your shadow is helping you complete a personal cycle, which is, you know, then in turn helping them complete a personal cycle, which is completing some sort of a cycle between this connection as well. So I don't know what that is yet. We'll see when we dive into tarot. But Capricorn, let's go ahead and start with your side of this. My nails are too long. Got them done last week, and too Barbie for me. I'm not really a Barbie girl. All right, let's look at Capricorn's side of this connection. This is Capricorn side of the connection to the person they are dealing with, please. One more. Nope. Okay. This is Capricorn side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Yeah, so there was a tower here. Oh, it's in reverse. So whatever happened in this connection was inevitable. There was an inevitable tower. This is a tower that couldn't have been avoided. Let me get more on this. A tower that couldn't have been avoided. Why? Clarifying this tower in reverse. I feel like because there is some sort of a karmic aspect to this cycle, the tower in reverse, the Seven of Cups in reverse, and the King of Swords. Could be dealing with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You do not have to be. And then the Nine of Cups in reverse. Okay. Oh, okay. And there's the Five of Pentacles, Strength in reverse. Okay, yeah. So there has been, I mean, you feel a significant loss at this connection. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know if this connection is still together or not. Like, I feel like these two people are connected, but I don't necessarily know if there's like an active connection happening. Again, take it as it resonates. But I do feel like this person has a tendency, Capricorn, to be a little bit condescending toward you. Not necessarily, again, it kind of feels like what they do, because if this connection's triggering each other, right? Like they probably have a lot of insecurities that are coming up, and then use those insecurities to kind of project onto you. So their insecurities are kind of becoming, I feel like they kind of come out in the way that they treat you and the way that they speak to you. And I feel like that's what I'm kind of getting with the King of Swords. Like, it's like the way that they speak to you can kind of be condescending sometimes. Now, and it's not that like, I don't feel like this person is a bad person by any means, but I do feel like they are in a place where they're not, it's like they're not able to do their own work or take a look at themselves. And so they kind of look for flaws in you instead of like handling them on their own. So with the tower in reverse, the reason that this was inevitable, I feel like, is because Capricorn, I feel like that's kind of a dynamic in relationships for you that you might be kind of used to, that might be pretty common for you, even if you haven't really fully realized it. Like, not necessarily like the condescending aspect, but the like people using you as a scapegoat for their insecurities, because you might be a very understanding, very empathetic person, and maybe you come off as someone that, I don't know, like what's the best way to say that? Like someone who, like it's like you're so empathetic that people kind of just pile their stuff onto you, like in every single way. But it also feels like then you don't seem to really attract the people that then kind of provide you with a space for you to put your stuff onto. So you're not only holding like your emotional burdens or the burdens that, you kind of feel like you're dealing with, but also everyone else's, and specifically in this connection, this person as well. Capricorn side of this connection. Man, I took all last week off and it feels really good to be back. Five of Swords. Yeah, see, you were heavily taken for granted in this with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Then you have the Two of Swords in reverse with the Five of Swords. But it kind of feels, Capricorn, like you spend a lot of time not doing a whole lot about it. Now, maybe you're one of those people that likes to, keep quiet, maybe to keep the peace, or you hold back from your own needs because you feel like they're not important, because maybe you've been taught that they're not important by certain relationships in your life. But I do feel like, sometimes that's because with the Five of Swords, it almost feels like that's how you protect yourself. Like when you start feeling, like you're being taken for granted or you're not getting what it is that you need, I feel like you kind of shut down. Like you kind of just like you allow it to happen, not because you're weak or not because you're necessarily allowing it to happen, because you're like, I don't really like, it's almost like you don't want to cause any more issues, or like you're so worried about maybe losing the other person or hurting the other person that you have a tendency, Capricorn, in a way to kind of sacrifice your own needs and connections. And specifically with this person, that's a cycle that I feel like has come up for you. Now, again, it doesn't mean that you are weak. It means that you're a peacekeeper. But you have to understand that to a certain extent, that can then start to create issues for you where you start to build resentment, or you start to feel like your needs aren't being met, and you start to just almost like feel like you're betraying yourself in a way. Like it can lead to some damaging things. But Capricorn side of this connection, so this tower that took place, I mean, you are experiencing this disappointment, and I get that. But you have the Wheel of Fortune, the Six of Pentacles in reverse, and the Knight of Swords in reverse. This tower that took place, it's actually the wheel turning in your favor. Because with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, this is lack of reciprocation. You've given so much to this connection, but you've received very little back. Now, there's a part of you that has been chasing it a little bit, like over giving, or feeling the need that, feeling like you need to show up with 120% of you instead of just being who you are. Like it just feels like, and this could have been a past, something that you've kind of internalized from past connections, like feeling like you're not good enough, and so feeling like you have to be more than who you are, you have to overgive, or you have to, I don't know, like be better than who you are in a way, in order to get what it is that you deserve, even if that's like the bare minimum. And I feel like this connection really highlighted that. You probably gave a lot to this person, and maybe it feels like they didn't really reciprocate much to you at all. Again, I don't feel like this person's a bad person. I don't feel like they're that good of a teammate, and I feel like they don't maybe know how to show up for you, because maybe they're dealing with their own stuff, right? Usually when people are a little bit emotionally unavailable and aren't able to be there for us, it's often because they are dealing with their own stuff and they don't know how to be there for themselves, right? But with this kind of glimmer of hope that I'm feeling, like it feels like things that have taken place in this connection, this disappointment that you're feeling, is actually happening for the better. Because I feel like if this connection would have kept going the way that it has been, you kind of, being taken for granted, getting less than what you deserve, it was going to get to a point where it's almost like it was going to, I don't know, like really, really affect your self-esteem, or in a way, or like your sense of self, or I don't know. I don't want to say necessarily like maybe encroaching on emotional abuse territory. I'm not saying that that's the case, but it could be the case for some people out there. Capricorn side of this connection to the person they are dealing with, because I feel like you expected, you were like hoping maybe things would change, or maybe this person would eventually be able to show up for you, and I just feel like they never did. Capricorn side of the connection. Strength, the Knight of Cups. Oh, these are both in reverse. This is all in reverse. Knight of Cups in reverse, Strength in reverse, Ace of Cups, Five of Pentacles, and High Priestess. Two of Pentacles in reverse. Oh my goodness. Okay. So your priorities were a little bit imbalanced in this connection, Capricorn. And when I say that, what I mean is that your priority was this person. And it feels like your own needs kind of got placed on the back burner. Now, again, it just feels like that's such a common thing for you in connections, and I feel like this connection specifically really brought that out. Now, this connection was very triggering for you, because I feel like even though you gave a lot and you never received, it made you, I feel like, doubt whether or not you were good enough even more. Like, even if you had those feelings kind of coming in, feeling like you weren't good enough, which kind of made you overgive, but then you overgive and you still don't receive, then that makes you feel even, because then you're sitting there going, well, I gave this everything I had. I gave this person everything I could, and I still wasn't good enough for them. And I feel like it doesn't have anything to do with you not being good enough. Again, this person has the soulmate card, right? Like, they really did see you as someone who they have a deep emotional connection with. They feel, very close to you, but I feel like there's something going on with this person, we haven't gotten there yet, that is keeping them from being able to prioritize. Oftentimes when people are very selfish and they kind of put themselves first in the connections, it's because they are kind of in that survival mode, and they do have to put themselves first because they don't know how to be in healthy reciprocal connections. Now, sure, you can have empathy all day long for that, but that doesn't mean that you have to bear the burden of it, right? So I feel like there's a lot going on here in the sense that, you know, you were trying to prioritize them, they were trying to prioritize themselves, and it felt to you like you were never a priority to them, which then made you feel like you weren't good enough for them. But I feel like it doesn't have anything to do with that, because this loss that you're feeling, and I do feel like it's a very deep sadness that kind of is affecting you in more ways than one. It's actually trying to show you that you never have to settle, Capricorn. I feel like that's the biggest thing coming through. Like, you never have to settle. If you feel like you're in a connection where you're receiving less than what you deserve, especially if you feel like you're begging or asking for the bare minimum, you are not in the right connection for you. Now, of course, that can be difficult to see when you're in it, because you're like, well, I really love this person, I really care about this person. Okay, that's, you know, that's because you're a loving, caring person, but you cannot love other people more than you love yourself, because the more that you give, and start pouring from an empty cup, the less that you're going to have to show up for the world in ways that that you're meant to, in a way. I often have people will comment on my channel and be like, well, I feel like putting yourself ahead of others is selfish. And I get that. I get, the way that has kind of been ingrained in us, but it's actually the opposite. Because if you don't show up for yourself first, if you don't provide for yourself first, if you're not looking out for numero uno, which is you, then you're not going to be able to show up and provide for anybody else in this world to the fullest extent, because you'll always be pouring from an empty cup. And so the more that you put your needs and your emotional desires first, the more that you will be able to have those met, by the right people. Because if you give and receive in a healthy manner, then those are, there's going to be equal reciprocation there. And the more that you'll have to show up for the people that you do love. This is Capricorn side of the connection. Capricorn side of this connection, please. Fool in reverse. See, you did build up quite a bit of anger here. You did. And I feel like that because the Queen of Wands in reverse can be like anger, resentment, like frustration that gets so deep where it feels like it's like it boils in you. And I feel like that's because of this recurring treatment that you received in this connection. Now, I'm talking about this in past tense. This could be a connection that's currently happening. So take it as it resonates. But I do feel like this is something that has been repeated so many times in your life. And then this person comes along and you care about them so much. And you're like, why are you treating me the same way that all of these other people have treated me that made me feel not good enough? Because I feel like you're like, well, if anyone should, see my worth, or if anyone should know that I'm deserving of love, it should be you. And then they don't turn around and give you that. And then I feel like it almost affirms further those feelings of unlovableness that you do have kind of buried deep down. Not saying that is a truth, not saying that you are unlovable, or that is that is something you should believe. But when we are kind of put in karmic situations, oftentimes it will, the purpose is to bring those wounds to the surface so that they can be addressed and healed. But oftentimes it can just feel as if all of our deepest fears, such as being undeserving of love, or the fear of being alone forever, or never having the love that we desire, whatever the case is, it can look as if those fears are being proven correct. And that's why we often can stay in situations that don't serve us, is because we fear that those fears are truths, which they never are, unless you believe that they are. All right, Capricorn side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Five of Swords, Five of Wands, Nine of Cups in reverse. So most of the conflict in this connection did come from the place of you feeling, well, like this kind of like condescending energy. Like maybe this person had a little bit of feeling like they're better than you in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that they are, because no one is necessarily better than anybody else. But I do feel like this person had a little bit of an ego in this. And I feel like that affected you greatly. Now with this Five of Swords, it almost feels like you've had your defenses up in this connection for a while. I feel like you've been ready to defend yourself. You've been ready to, like almost like you've been in fight or flight in this connection for a while, Capricorn. And that's not what you deserve. You deserve to be in connections that make you feel secure and safe and comfortable. Right now, of course, that you should still be in connections that challenge you, but they don't have to challenge you by making you feel unsafe or making you feel unworthy. They can challenge you by making you, show up as your best self. And you've tried, you have done what you can to show up as your best self in this connection. This person hasn't reciprocated, and that's not on you. And I feel like there is a little bit of a need to try and see things from that perspective. But let's see. It's a long reading. We're already at 10 minutes. Let's see what this person is dealing with. It's my first reading back. I got a lot to say. All right, this is the person that Capricorn is dealing with, side of the connection to Capricorn. Person that Capricorn is dealing with, side of the connection to Capricorn, please. Person that Capricorn is dealing with, side of the connection to Capricorn. The person that Capricorn is dealing with, side of the connection to Capricorn, please. See, okay. This is what's so confusing here. I feel like you're like, yeah, I'm confused by this person too, because this person does have love for you. There's no doubt about that. Like, they have the Two of Cups, they have the soulmate, they do have love for you, but then they have this King of Swords in reverse. And this is kind of like when we saw that King of Swords with the Nine of Cups in reverse. It's like a similar energy. And this can come off as like emotionally, or like a little bit manipulative, like emotionally. I don't want to say abusive is such a heavy word, right? So I don't necessarily want to say that if that's not the situation you were dealing with. It very well could have been the situation you were dealing with, but it's like they have a lot of love for you, but they also, with the Emperor in reverse here, they also struggle to feel deserving of love themselves, and I feel like love makes them feel very unsafe, so they have to control the connection. They have that need for control, and I feel like that's kind of what led you to a lot of this Five of Cups, is because you feel like it's like the reason they haven't been vulnerable or been able to open up and give and receive, right? To give and receive in a healthy manner is because that means vulnerability. And that means being, 100% authentic of who they are. And I feel like they're struggling to fully accept and love themselves as who they are. And so, again, those insecurities that they have, kind of like I said in the beginning of the reading, kind of have become your problem. And they might turn around and put it on you as saying, all the things that bother them about, themselves, they're finding in you. And that right there is the whole concept of projection, right? Oftentimes when we have a hard time seeing our own insecurities with love and acceptance, then we will judge them and other people. And so if this person was condescending, or if they took you for granted in some way, shape, or form, it's not that it has anything to do with you. It's that this person is struggling with being able to fully love themselves. And so, of course, they're not going to be able to fully love you, because we can only love other people to the extent that we love ourselves. And so I feel like if you're questioning, oh, did this person even love me, or are they just using me, or do they even care? Yes, they do care. But that doesn't mean that they are able to show up for you in the way that you deserve. And that doesn't mean that you have to, you want to make sure that you're not living for the hope of someone changing, right? I get the question, well, is there any hope in this connection, or do you think this connection can work? And my answer always is yes. Every single connection has hope, as long as both people are willing to show up as their best selves, as long as both people are willing to do the work, as long as both people are willing to do the healing. If both people are willing to do what's necessary to create a healthy connection, yes, I believe that any connection can make it out of any kind of dark place. But I don't know if this person is willing to do that. And that's where you have to be honest with yourself and saying, has this person showed me their willingness to, take accountability, to be authentic, to open up to the things that they need to open up to in order to create a vulnerable connection? Because that's where the issue lies. All right, this person's energy toward Capricorn, please. There's that. Knight of Wands in reverse, Six of Swords in reverse, Devil. Okay. I mean, that right there is fear of vulnerability. And then you have the Page of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Swords. This is a runner-chaser dynamic for sure. So this person's running from this because of their emotional unavailability. They don't know how to be vulnerable. And so they're kind of, I feel like it's like they're trying to move on from this, but it's like, they still very much care about this connection. There's no doubt about that. But it also feels like they're not really being fully honest with themselves about that, because that also then requires a level of vulnerability. Again, like, oftentimes in these connections, I have people that'll be like, oh, well, this person, they're not honest with me. They're not being vulnerable. They're not showing up as their authentic self for me. And, it can feel very personal when you're in situations where you really love someone, but you don't understand, if they love you, why they're not able to show up for you. And honestly, what it comes down to is they're not able to. They haven't done the healing. They haven't done the inner work. They haven't met themselves at the level that you're wanting them to meet you. And again, that is not it making excuses for this person. That is not saying that you have to, um, tolerate that kind of treatment, but it does kind of give a perspective on connections to say, well, it's not that they don't want to, it's that they don't know how to. Now, whether or not they want to and are willing to do the work, maybe go to therapy or have those uncomfortable conversations, or, be open and vulnerable with themselves, that's going to depend on their own personal journey. And unfortunately, there's nothing that, we can do to push people into doing that kind of healing work. All right, this person's energy toward Capricorn. This person's energy toward Capricorn. There's that Three of Pentacles in reverse again. The Justice, the Ace of Wands in reverse, Three of Cups in reverse, High Priestess in reverse. I feel like this person might be someone, and I don't want this to come off as me being judgmental towards this person or anything like that, but they might have a tendency to chase a feeling instead of a connection. And feelings are temporary, right? That's why most connections kind of end around that 3 to 6 month mark, is because feelings wear off. Connection is sustainable, but connection takes work, right? So this person might have a tendency to chase feelings, meaning that if the feeling starts to diminish, because feelings will come and go, right? When you're in a healthy long-term connection, you will not always feel like you are head over heels in love with that person, because that is not sustainable. There will be times, sure, but there will be other times when you kind of get into the day-to-day of everything, and things just kind of go, just kind of feel mundane or can start to feel boring. But that does not mean that the connection is boring. It means that you're not riding that high, that emotional high that comes in the beginning of connections, and can return in connections too. But what I'm getting at is, I feel like this person has a tendency to chase a feeling, because connection, again, takes vulnerability, and a lot of people don't know how to tap into that level of themselves, and therefore open that part of themselves up to someone else. And so I'm not saying that they don't have any potential, right? Because you probably see their potential, or you wouldn't have invested in this for as long as you have. But I am saying that their potential should not be the person that you love, right? You should love them for who they are. Not saying you don't, but you should love them for who they are, and then make decisions and connections based on who someone shows you they are in that moment, not what someone's potential is. Now, that does not mean it's like one strike you're out, right? But if this person has showed you over and over again who they are or what they're capable of on a vulnerability level, and you're saying, I'm not getting enough from you, then that's when you kind of know that there's a decision that needs to be made. Yeah, because they struggle with connection big time. Page of Swords in reverse, Two of Pentacles, the Hierophant. I think I just said they struggle with connection. They struggle with communication, which makes sense, because you have to understand that someone who is really good at speaking and talking does not mean that that person is good at communicating. Communication, again, takes vulnerability, and that is ultimately what this person is lacking, is vulnerability, the ability to open themselves up, and kind of bare their soul, right? And it doesn't mean that you haven't seen glimpses of that, right? I'm not saying that you like don't know this person at all and they've been totally shut off this whole time. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that they have not been able to fully open up and be vulnerable with you in a sustainable way. And I feel like they struggle with communication, which is why often maybe they do come across as like condescending or manipulative in a little bit of a way, or maybe they do have a tendency to say things that are kind of harsh. It's not, I don't feel like this person is a bad person. I really don't. I feel like they are hurting and they have taken that hurt and in a way, Capricorn made it your problem. This is for this person's side of the connection to Capricorn. Person's energy toward Capricorn. I feel like they hold back from you a lot. So 7 of Swords, Emperor in reverse, 6 of Wands in reverse. I feel like they hold back how they really feel a lot from you, Capricorn, because that is how they keep control. They maintain control. It's kind of like keep them guessing, right? Keep them guessing. You'll keep them hanging on. And this person, I mean, they're not really in alignment with their soul's purpose. Like they're not really where they should be. And I feel like that has been such a challenge for you because I feel like you see everything that this person is capable of. And you're saying, I see how great you could be. I see how great you are. Maybe you don't see how great you are, but I see how great you are and how great you could be. And I see how great we could be if you could just show up, you know, as your most authentic, most vulnerable self. And this person just continues to not. And to you, again, that can feel very personal because you can be like, why are they not willing to show up for me? Why are they not willing to be their most vulnerable self for me? And it doesn't have anything to do with you. It's the fact that they don't know how to do it for themselves. So of course they're not going to be able to do it for you, right? All right, this person's energy toward Capricorn. This person's energy toward Capricorn, please. Ten of Wands, 7 of Wands in reverse, World in reverse. So there's that cycle. See, and that's the thing. This is what I was trying to say, and this is what I feel like the cycle is they take their burdens, their emotional unavailability, their insecurities, their fear, their doubt, their feelings of unlovableness, and they've put it on you. And they've made it your problem. And so that's the shadow aspect, right, that exists between this connection and how these two connections are really triggering each other. So you have this aspect of like them putting this burden on you, you trying to take it because you love and care about this person and you want to be there for them and you want to help them. But then over time, it's drained you, it's diminished you, it's made you feel small, it's made you feel not good enough. And that has really created a pretty karmic, dare I say, toxic cycle between these two connections. Now, I'm not saying this connection's doomed and can never come back from this, but what I am saying is this person has a lot to deal with and a lot to work through, and I don't know if they're in a place right now to be able to be the kind of person that ultimately, Capricorn, you are deserving of. So we're going to hop on over to the extended. You have Shadow with the World. Again, this middle section is looking at the purpose of this connection and what is the best way, Capricorn, for you to move forward in order to align with your higher self in this connection. As always, Capricorn, thank you so very much for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. Right, bye, Capricorn.